He's a natural products industry hero. He's a scientist, he's an inventor. He's a founder, sole member, chief science officer, and fearless leader of Fungi Perfecti. Creative force behind host defense mushrooms. Oh, Captain Mike. If I'm a little silly, it's just who I am. You gotta roll with it. He's been exploring mushrooms, fungi in the forest, in the grow room, in the laboratory, and beyond. People may not know this. Paul's written a lot of books. This is his college thesis statement. So how many of us were writing groundbreaking books straight out of college? That's Paul. And this has continued through growing gourmet and medicinal mushrooms. A lot of people call this the mushroom grower's Bible, right? If you have been a mushroom grower in the United States over the recent decades, you have this book. Or you have a book written by someone who was inspired by that book. Folks in this space might not know, for decades Paul has trained mycologists from across the United States and beyond. So there are thousands of people in this world who Paul has personally trained and mentored and developed in this art. With the pandemic, things have slowed down, but if you don't know this, Paul has been a road warrior for a lot of his life, going to so many places across the country and across the world, speaking to increasingly sold out audiences who are just energized beyond belief by his information, the facts, but I think above all, just the inspiration and opening people up to the possibilities that we can explore with fungi. After almost 15 years after launch, Host Defense remains the #1 mushroom supplement brand.
Wow. So I guess the first thing I should say, besides an extraordinary introduction of which I don't deserve most of it, but if you're wondering why I'm in crutches, I was reaching for a rare Garacon up on the cliff. And just before I was ready to get it, I fell and broke my hip. So, no, actually I was cleaning a roof on a ladder and I fell. I'm grateful to all of you. I'm honored to be a leader and a knowledge keeper in this movement. I think we're really at a time critical point, not only in our lifespans, but in the context of generations that go back into time and into the future. We're all gonna die. What's the heritage that we leave? I feel so important that we activate positive change, that we build community. And it's wonderful that this movement, sort of hidden in the underground, has now become the zeitgeist of our time. It's worldwide, sweeping the world. It's rising up because the unanimity of us all being together, connected by networks, computer networks, neural networks, mycelial networks, builds a community that benefits the commons in each other. I've always thought that evolution is not the survival of the fittest. It's the survival of those who share beyond their needs, and acts of generosity helps their neighbors, which will forever create an indebtedness of them back to you to reciprocate. Our strength is in our diversity. Our strength is in pushing the envelope. My own life, and I want to recognize, I've benefited from 5 amazing women that have really steered my ethos and who I am. I want to honor the great Mazatec shaman, Maria Sabina. She unveiled the mysteries of psilocybin mushrooms to the Western culture. Valentino Wasson, our Gordon Wasson's wife, who was a Russian physician. He was also a mycologist, and she died in 1958, soon after returning from Mexico, working with Maria Sabina. She is not recognized enough, but I knew our Gordon Wasson. He is the one who published in Life magazine to tens of millions of Americans from the middle of the Cold War a psilocybin mushroom field guide. And that caused really a spark in a rekindling of ancestral knowledge, of the value of psilocybin mushrooms and mushrooms in general in connecting us with nature. So those of us that have journeyed deeply with psilocybin mushrooms know this is to be true. We are all interconnected. We're all part of one giant consciousness. We're inferior in our understanding, And yet when we slow down and we think and we immerse ourselves into this experience of being, we're only seeing a small slice of reality right now. But we are making neural connections amongst each other, microbiomic connections. So Maria Sabina and Tina Wasson, and then my grandmother, Charlotte North, who was a matriarch of our family, the wisest women I've ever met. And of course my mother is hugely important. And then a mycologist by the name of Kit Skates, Catherine Skates, profound self-taught mycologist of this past 100 years, widely published, an amazing woman who took me under her wing. So these 5 women really adopted me at a time when I was uncertain of myself, I was shy, and I was scared, in a sense. I was pushing the envelope of knowledge because psilocybin mushrooms in particular were a verboten subject. You could not talk about it. So I went to the Evergreen State College. I met a professor there, Michael Bew. We started exploring the psilocybin mushrooms that grew in the Northwest and realized, well, if we're gonna do this legitimately, we need a DEA license. So we got a DEA license. So I could legally possess psilocybin. Interestingly, this past year, I got another DEA license. I passed my background checks. Whoa. But on a serious note, should the FDA and DEA, they know this well. I created a model a long time ago. Nature provides, I don't. But I am happy to announce in the year 2030, post-defense is going to be selling psilocybin mushrooms. Just kidding. I own the business, and I created a business in order to do research. There's a lot of emphasis, mention of agarikon. This is important. Casey, my next culture took, we have 105 strains of agarikon, by far the largest strain library in the world. Diosporides described it in 65 AD as elixirium ad longum vitam, the elixir of long life. It's been used in Greek and Roman times for thousands of years in Europe. It's also been used in the north coast of North America by the Haida and the Plica and many other indigenous peoples who also recognize that this mushroom, one of the longest growing, if not the longest growing mushroom in the world, grows over 100 years in age, in the old growth forest only, exclusively. And because of the shrinking of the old growth forest, we have a shrinking genomic library of this strain that our ancestors across cultures have recognized to be a very potent medicinal mushroom. So I set out my quest. I'm going to make the largest library in the world of agarikon. We are DNA sequencing, full genome sequencing. We've done about 45. We have a next tranche of about 60 coming in, or 55 coming in. So we'll publish this in the public databases for the commons. And the old growth forests have shrunk so much, and those of you who saw my TED Talk, we had very strong antiviral activity with the BioShield program after 9/11. Very concerned, the U.S. Defense Department was for pandemic viruses, especially weaponizable viruses. But it's more than that. This industrial farming, this shrinking of ecosystems, this collision of natural habitats to destroyed habitats, the interface of wild animals coming up in contact with people, all those vectors. So I was involved in the BioShield program beginning in 2003, 2004. The virologists I talked about were extremely concerned about pandemics. We did not see COVID coming. The virologists that I'm very familiar with and friends with, we thought it would be H5N1. We thought it would be bird flu. 70% fatality. Ebola, 80, 90% fatality. These are the viruses that we thought we would see on the horizon. Folks, there's another pandemic coming. There's no doubt about it. There's another one coming. And it's probably on the near event horizon. And I pray it's not H5N1. It's so important that we build community immunity. It's so important that all of us have intact immune systems so we don't become super spreaders. Nature's a numbers game. The more virions you're harboring, the more you're aspirating, the more you'll infect people. So we have finished a COVID clinical trial. We are submitting the paper to a well-known medical journal at the end of this month. we recruited like 170 or something patients who were getting mRNA vaccines in the vaccination lines in Southern California. So we brought on board 90 patients, double-blind, placebo-controlled, using agarikon and turkey tail mycelium. And because we didn't actually have agarikon and turkey tail mycelium as a binary product on the market, but we had them as two individual products. And because I kept agarikon alive, even though CFOs had even mentioned, and Steve been with me a long time, and Betsy, et cetera, why do we have this product line live? And they believed in me, and I believed in agarikon. We keep this product line alive. So we applied for the COVID clinical trials, and this is at clinicaltrials.gov, you're welcome to look it up. The FDA wanted to know, is it safe? And I said, well, actually, 500,000 plus units of agarikon sold to the public, no adverse reactions. Check that box, right? FDA was happy about that. And turkey tail, what about the cytokine storm? Interesting. Something I know a little bit about. And I know a lot of other immunologists know a lot about this subject. And so we pointed to an article that we published in the Journal of Information Research. You all can access it on our turkey tail mycelium. Shows that it excites interleukin 10 and interleukin 1 arrays, anti-inflammatory cytokines, but upregulates the immune system. We published a breast cancer clinical study that showed that our turkey tail enhanced immune readiness by increasing natural killer cells and macrophages. 2 articles that we had published in the scientific literature on turkey tail. Check that box with the FDA. It also spikes interleukin 10 and interleukin 1 array. And it also, both of them spike what's called interleukin 6. Interleukin 6 has gotten a bad rap in my mind. Your interleukin 6, that's your immune system. You're overreacting. It's an inflammatory response. But because we bundled these together, as one immunologist says, like stepping on the gas and putting on the brakes at the same time. You're having truly immunomodulation for host immunity enhancement. So we presented the results at George Washington University School of Medicine, September 23rd, 2023. So I'm not going to go into details of that, but the results are just astonishingly good. Double-blind, placebo-controlled. Compared to my folks, this is so important. As the immunologist on our team said, I believe everyone should be taking host defense. He's an immunologist. He said, pharma has been looking for results like this for decades. And the results that we have here are just astonishing. This is an example, I think, not just my hero's journey, but many of the entrepreneurs, some of whom are in this room, who just plug away because they believe in something. They give it their wherewithal. You know, and every person that told me I would not succeed, I thought to myself, thank you, you just inspired me to work harder. You don't see what I see. And so I'm honored to be in this position. You know, I started this company, I packed 30,000 boxes before I had a single employee. I stood in the post office. I had over $5,000 in overdraft fees at the bank. Fortunately, my lawyer was on the board of directors. He said, Paul's one of your best customers. All you have to do is pay his bills and he gives you 25 bucks on the overdraft. Maybe I'm saying too much. I'm actually very healthy today. And we're healthy today because of all of you, and all of you are supporting our mission. And it's much greater than just host defense. Again, it's community immunity. One of the surprising things I learned from the immunologists on our team is immunocompromised people, when they get a vaccine, become super spreaders. You don't have a reservoir of immune cells to create antibodies. You're immunologically depressed. So you get a vaccine, you're partially immunized in a sense, but then the virus can reproduce. You want to stop the viral from escalating exponentially as quickly as possible. So if people could have enhanced immune systems at the time of immunization, then your reservoir of immune cells and your antibodies are much more robust. So that's the operating hypothesis. When the journal was published and the article was published, you'll have all the details, which I'm not going to specify now. But it's so important. We're all in this earth ship together. We're all in this room together. The community immunity is so important. And for the whole movement that's involved, I mean, I applaud these entrepreneurs coming up with mushroom, replacement meats and flavors and all this stuff. I think it is wonderful. Innovation is the key here. And it's important we have diversity, and we are able to share these ideas because there's more ideas than our people in this room to explore. We just don't have enough time. We're truly at a point where it's all hands on deck. What is your responsibility? What are you doing? Is it just making money, going to sleep, waking up, look at your bank account in the morning? It's so much more. Mushrooms tie us back into nature. Psilocybin mushrooms tie us back into the universe. Woo! Just before I came here, my daughter, Ladina, is here. She saw me go through. I'm writing a new book, Penguin, Random House. Contract 198 pages, I'm at 310. My book is on psilocybin mushrooms, and then I have a new book on mycelium running 2, how mushrooms can help save the world. And I'm dedicating my life as a knowledge keeper to spread the knowledge of mycelium so the next generation can pick up the torch. But this is not the time to say negative things about anybody. This is a time to celebrate everyone's interest in the subject and hopefully shepherd them in a better direction than creating, false obstacles or theater or messaging. All parts of the mushroom are good. The mycelium is the immune system of the mushroom, the immune system of the plant. So the guiding principles that I learned from these great 5 women that influenced me the most is that I govern my life with the principles of kindness, courage, wisdom, strength, and love. It's so important. But as my team, the team at Host Defense, led by Steve and Betsy and Jerry and so many others, and Tom, I can't name everybody here or fear of forgetting somebody. When you support Host Defense, I just want you to know that it's more than Host Defense. We want to champion a cause for the betterment of the commons. Our children are depending upon us. Future generations are looking back upon us. I'm advocating for the decriminalization of psilocybin across the country. I'm putting a proposal to Washington State for 100 grams of psilocybin mushrooms to be legal. It was adopted as a platform. This is so important because I do have conservative friends. I've met law enforcement and vets, people who have tremendous monkeys on their back. I've met doctors and therapists. Now, for those of you who are not vets, you're not law enforcement, and you're not, involved in medicine, just think about it. You have 100 encounters with people that are life-threatening, life-changing, life-critical. Are you going to be right every time? No. At one time that you're wrong, you live with that shame, that guilt, that hurt. What happens? You reverberate it outwards to your family, to your dog, to neighbors, to somebody road rage on the road. This is why it's so important, is that these people who are fundamentally good are vilified by society because they made one mistake. And where is forgiveness now in our society with social media? People are shamed permanently with no avenue to be able to redeem themselves. The psilocybin experience builds that bridge between conservatives and liberals, between law enforcement to the people. This is a fundamental civil right, the freedom of consciousness. 10 years ago, if I gave this talk, I'd have a big WTF. All right, folks, I want to all thank you so much for everything. Thank you. Thank you.